Hey guys, this is AI Gaming 1776 and I would like to show you how my GTX 1070 Founders Edition performs. So let's just jump right into it. In the upper right hand corner you will see Afterburner. Now if we click on this, you'll see we're using the default settings, no overclock, no fan profile. Here we can go over to here, no fan profile. Alright, so let's start the game up. This card is 100% out of the box vanilla. Now my goal is to show you how this card performs in a lot of different ways, okay? So what we're going to do is 100% vanilla, but then we're also going to try not overclocking it, but giving it a different fan speed. And then we're going to actually overclock it. We're going to play around with it a little bit. And I like to use the division in my testing because, believe it or not, the division is kind of demanding in 1440p. And even if an overclock, whether it's my CPU or GPU, even if an overclock survives IDA 64 or it survives 3D Mark, Firestrike, this game can still crash the computer. All right, so this game seems to get my GPUs pretty hot. It seems to get my CPU pretty hot sometimes. It just seems to be a good game as far as stress testing goes. That's why I like to use it. I am using, by the way, an overclock 6700K. It's 4.535 megahertz or something. It's in between 4.5 and 4.6. I am overclocked on air. I will be using a water cooler on it in the near future and see if that does any better, but I don't think it will. I mean, temperatures have never been a problem with this card, with this CPU. I'm actually using the big Fantex. It's got a huge, crazy long name here. Let me turn down my headset. I do not want to be distracted by that. But it's that giant Fantex CPU cooler. You know, the big one that comes in different colors. Mine happens to be red. And then it doesn't have a name. It just has a string of letters and numbers. It does a good job. As you can see, the CPU might get up to 60 during actual gaming. It'll probably stay in the 40s and 50s most of the time. In the upper right hand corner, you can see the GPU temperature, GPU utilization percentage, GPU core, the clock speed, which is 1785. You can see how much VRAM is being used. I didn't want to put my thing there. My class here in the division, I use the little healing station thing. I didn't want to put it there, but whatever. Not the end of the world. We're just doing some testing. Alright, so VRAM, which is only 3.5 right now, but it goes up to about 4.5 sometimes in 1440p with the settings I'm using. And then below that is CPU temperature, CPU utilization, which is bouncing in the 40s and 50s right now. There he is. I'm trying to talk to you guys and play the game, so, and not die. That's one of the reasons we're using this mission. This mission is fairly easy to do while I talk, but at the same time, this is a mission, this particular area in the division does happen to challenge the frame rate for some reason. This is actually one of the missions that I use to dial in the overclocks for my 980 Ti's. I have two 980 Ti's, a water-cooled hybrid from EVGA, and then a classified from EVGA. And if you guys have watched the channel, then you would have seen some of those videos probably. Or maybe not, I don't know. Sometimes people, it's funny, I do a lot of different graphics cards on this channel, and if somebody's watching for my 960 videos, they might not watch my 980 Ti's. But I digress. Alright, so I cleared those enemies out, and you've been able to see those numbers the whole time. I have a big yellow frame rate counter for Fraps in the upper right hand corner, and then I have all the little green numbers from Afterburner, but I'm looking in the viewfinder on the camera right now, and it looks like you can see that just fine. Alright, so we're in the 60s. Oop, now we're in the 50s. That's important. That's important that we're in the 50s. Alright, pay attention to that. We're in the 50s a lot. Now, earlier, when I had the computer nice and hot, see how we're just barely breaking? Here, let me turn around. When you go through here, we'll just barely go over 60 frames per second, 59, 60. This particular spot right here. Alright, keep that in mind, because later when we turn the fan up, that should change. Alright, I'll give you the spoiler alert now. Alright, so this is the stock fan profile, the stock everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm running around here. Oh, now we're in the low 50s. I'm running around here because the more I do this, the hotter the GPU is going to get. It's only 81 degrees right now. There's something about this area that can really, and really the whole game can, don't get me wrong, the whole game, like I told you earlier, can heat up my GPU, heat up my CPU. It's really good for stress testing in my opinion. We're at 81, but I've seen it get as high as 84 on the stock fan profile. So I'm going to keep pushing this. You see the speed, the operating speed over there on the upper line, that's 1772 megahertz. So well under 2000. Now again, spoiler alert, once I turn the fan up, I can keep this above 2000. This is what we get with no overclock with the normal fan profile. There we go, 82 degrees on the GPU. Now it just went back down to 81. One of the reasons I'm trying to heat that GPU up, and just flick to 82 again. One of the reasons I'm trying to heat that GPU up is this area, I was getting 45 frames per second earlier. 45 and 65, pretty big difference, right? Now, when I have the fan really going, it can stay in the high 60s to the 70s for the most part. It can flick into the 50s a little bit, and I'm trying to show you that. So, if I have to, I'll give up and we'll just change the fan profile here in a minute, but I'm really trying to get this heated up so we can see the frame rate go down into the 40s. As it is, it's been going into the 50s a lot. Okay, now it's at 82. Like I said, I've seen it get as high as 84. Hopefully this doesn't take forever. Now we're over 4 gigs of VRAM. That's the second line where it says MEM. So I've had my GTX 1070 for a while. I've had it for a week. And maybe 6 days, maybe a week. I think I've had it for a week. And you would think that maybe I would have posted a video by now. Like, surely I would have posted some gameplay videos or something, but here's the deal. My GTX 1070, because it is a founder's card, because it has the well-known throttling issues, this card has performed very inconsistently. And here's the problem. Ambient room temperature at 55 frames per second. Ambient room temperature seems to really matter for this graphics card a lot. The reason I say that is when this room is hot, like when I haven't had the AC on for some reason or another, and I live in the LA area, it's been about 100 degrees the last few days. There are times where this card plays very badly, worse than a 980 Ti. I have two 980 Ti's, as I've said, to compare it to. However, if I turn the air conditioning on and I get it nice and cold, and I have the fan turned up, then this thing just is pretty solid, all right? So it goes down to, this video for a lot of people might be worthless because I think it's already becoming common knowledge that a water-cooled 1070 will probably perform pretty well. All right, that's the spoiler alert. If you don't want to watch this whole video, if you don't want to see this with your own eyes, water-cooled 1070, water-cooled 1080, that's probably what you're going to want to buy. All right, so we're about to stop this, but as you can see, it's gone into the 50s. I haven't overclocked it at all. What I want to do so I won't make the video take forever, I could just go straight to turning up the fan and straight to overclocking. Part of me wants to be thorough though and show you the difference that just turning up the fan does. So let's do that really quickly. Let's turn the fan off of auto. And I've noticed, I took my glasses off, let me put them back on. I have noticed that for the fan speed, for my application in this room, 85% is the sweet spot. I seem to get the best frame rates at 85% because 85% for the fan speed, and you probably hear it now, it's pretty loud. 85% for the fan speed means I'm keeping the GPU cool, but you would think like, okay, we'll just use 90% or 95 or 100%, but there seems to be diminishing returns past 85, and as a matter of fact, it seems like once you get into the 90s, the GPU actually isn't performing as well. So it's almost like I wonder if running the fan at full speed starts competing with power. You know what? I forgot to up the power limit. So let's quit the game. My bad. Remember, we're doing this live, so please forgive any mistakes. Up the power limit, up the temperature limit. Again, we've not overclocked it yet. That will be next. We will overclock it as soon as we're done with this, and we're not going to spend as much time on this next section as we did the last. So anyway, you would think I would want to post some 1070 videos because 1070, 1080, that's the hotness. That's what people want to see. The thing is the 1070 has performed so inconsistently for me that I have not felt confident posting videos yet. Because in case you guys don't know, in case you're new to my channel, or in case you've watched my videos but you never realized this, or whatever whatever the issue is, the goal of this channel is to show people how cards really perform. Okay, I feel like a lot of YouTubers have not done a good job at that. Now they do good jobs at other things. They serve the community, they do a good job, they have a place, and they do things that are good and important, but I feel like they don't always show how games really actually play. And then, I was watching a big YouTuber today, and what they decided to do to show how a game played in 4K is they did Grand Theft Auto. But they did the first mission. Now, in case you don't know, the first mission on Grand Theft Auto has like no performance issues whatsoever. You need to play far enough into the game where I believe it's where you control Franklin first, and you're able to just go wherever you want on the map. Okay? That is when you start seeing how the game really performs. When you're playing Grand Theft Auto 5 and you don't have any save data and you play that first mission, you're not really showing how the game performs, and that's kind of a problem. So it takes me longer to make my videos because I get to a point where I can show you that was stupid, where I can show you how the game really performs. And I do a lot of testing. I've done a minimum 20 hours of testing on this 1070 in the last 6 or 7 days. A minimum of 20, probably closer to 30, before I even made my first video. Now usually these dudes come, 52, I felt the game get sluggish. I knew the frame rate had gone down. Now, am I going to tell you that I know the game's going 52 frames per second? No, I didn't know it was at 52, but I did know that it wasn't doing so hot. Like, I knew it got sluggish. Anyway, my videos take a long time for me to prepare for. They take a long time to make, and then sometimes they take a long time for you guys to watch. But it's because I'm trying to be thorough. If you're going to buy a new graphics card, I want you to see what it can really do. I don't want to BS you with a little 6 or 10 minute video. Alright? Also, again, some of these bigger YouTubers, sometimes they make 17-minute videos. But despite that fact, they still don't really show you everything they should probably be showing you. Alright, where's he at? Okay. Just so you know, I have a camcorder in front of the screen, and I'm using a camcorder instead of screen capture because I'm going in and out of the game. I'm changing the overclock, and sometimes when I do that and I'm making a recording, it screws the recording up. Now, just turning the fan up to 85%, we have a higher clock speed. We're at 1835, in case you hadn't noticed. And then you run past here, now it's like 62, 63, where before it was barely in the 60s. However, remember, we've not overclocked yet. And there are sometimes, I just felt it get stuttery. There are sometimes when you run past this point, you got to be going in this direction. It's something about how the game loads up. Okay, see, we're not going into the 50s, although we went into the 50s earlier during combat. And we're not overclocked yet, so we're about to do that. And forgive me for jumping around, but anyway, a lot of times guys are not showing you how the games really perform, and that's important to me. And they try, right? Like, I'm not trying to sit here and be a hater and say, oh, well, this YouTuber or that YouTuber, they're not trying, or they suck, or none of that. No. And I watch their videos, and I think they do a good job. And here's the thing. I've only been PC gaming for a year and a half. Now, don't get me wrong, I know a lot now. A lot more than I used to. Like, if you watch this video, if you watch my videos going back a year and a half, you'll see I started out with a pre-built computer and a GTX 970 that I had added into it. I've come a far way since then. Alright, we just went into the 50s. But still, the clock speed is 1835. So we are in the 1800s just from upping the clock speed. All right, before I get out of here, out of this game and overclock it, I want to talk to you about this real quick. All right, with the Pascal cards, from what I've seen so far, from what I've seen with my 1070 and what I've seen with other people's videos, there has been a situation where you can have a low clock speed and get decent frame rates, and you can have a higher clock speed and get lower frame rates. See what I mean? It's not always like high clock speed equals high frame rates. And I'm pointing that out because if you notice, we're staying in the 60s in this spot over here. We're not going into the 50s, which is good, even though I haven't overclocked it. Now, it's possible when I overclock it and come back, it might go into the 50s. It's very inconsistent. You have to really hit the sweet spot on the fan speed and the overclock and the heat and everything else. Now, if you'll notice, though, the temperature on my GPU, we're only at 68, 69 degrees. That is a lot lower than the 82 that we were at earlier. Now, granted, we were at 81 for a long time, but still, that's 13 degrees lower just from putting the fan at a constant 85%. All right, so let's get out of here and let us overclock. Okay, so remember what I just said, and this, I meant to say this sooner, I meant to say this like a minute and a half ago. Remember what I just said about how you can have a higher clock and get a lower frame rate, or you can have a lower clock and get a higher frame rate? If this room is air conditioned really cold, like last night, I accidentally had the air conditioner set too low, so it was like 69 degrees in here, because I have thermometers in here. Like right now, the thermometer next to my computer says 72 degrees. Last night it said 69. And without overclocking the card at all, the game performed really well. All right, so that's what I mean. This is a very, very, very inconsistently performing graphics card, at least with the Founders Cooler. All right, so let's actually overclock it. Mine can do plus 207. There's 208. I could bump it up to 216, but I'll do 208 because I don't want to push it. And then about 350 to 400 on the memory. We'll do 391. All right. And then the fan is at 85%, but we're actually going to bump it up to like 86. Okay. Launch the game. We're going to see how it performs now. So I don't know what to do, guys, because I would love to make videos for you where I show you how the games perform. Like, hey, this is how Battleborn performs. This is how Overwatch performs. This is how The Division performs. This is how Mirror's Edge Catalyst performs. I would love to do that. That is something I've done hundreds of times on this channel. I have over 400 videos right now, and more than 300 of them are dedicated to gaming. All right? I would love to do that. I've just been in a situation where it's really inconsistent. So I could show you The Division playing at like 58 frames per second one day, and I could show you The Division playing at 68 frames per second, 10 frames per second higher another day. That's a big difference. Usually when I make these videos, I have gotten to a point where the game is performing consistently time after time after time. So I can make a video and I can show you guys the video and I can be confident in that video. I can say, hey, this is how the game performs. I know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, with the 1070, I've not been able to do that. By the way, I'll show you the settings that I have in the game. Maybe I'll even put that in the description. I already knew the video was going to be long, so I wanted to jump right into it, right? So I'm sorry I haven't paused and showed you the settings. They're fairly decent settings. Okay, the game already feels better to control the camera, and some of the elements in the game already look sharper. Look at that, we're at 2050, 2038 for the clock speed. The GPU is only at 62 degrees, but it'll warm up. Now, it's also nighttime. I don't know if this game performs better at nighttime than daytime. It seems to perform the same, within the same ballpark regardless, to be honest. Because even at nighttime, there's a lot of ambient occlusion stuff going on. What? Alright, kill you. So I have a run and gun class, in case you don't know. I'll be making a video on that at some point in the Division. I actually have perks set up. So I throw down my little healing station. And what happens is if I kill a person while I'm moving, I have a perk or a talent or whatever it's called that makes it so I take less damage for 3 seconds because I killed someone while I was moving. That's why I get to run around a lot. And I also have another talent that makes it so that every time I kill someone while the healing station is out, I get 10% more time with the healing station. So if I have a minute of healing station, every time I kill someone, I get 6 more seconds. If I kill 10 people, I get another full minute. I just felt the game stutter, but I looked over and the frame rate wasn't that bad. If you guys were watching the frame rate, maybe you would have seen that it did go down. I don't know, we'll see. Come on, there we go. And more time with my healing station. Also, I have another thing set up for my healing station. One of the perks, I think they're called, that I have set up for the healing station has it so that while I'm within this green circle here, I don't expend any ammunition. So I didn't use up any ammo right now. So it's a total run and gun class. I love it. All right, did you see that? The frame rate was in the flipping hundreds. 85. Already you can tell we're doing much better. 66, 65. Remember, it was barely 60 before. It was even dipping into the 50s. So now we run around here. The GPU is still at 68 degrees because I put it from 85 to 86. It's not a big jump as far as the fan speed goes. Look at the clock though. We're staying above 2000 megahertz, 2012, 2025. I really think that if I water cool this, I can probably get it into the low 50s, like 52, 55 degrees. So I think when you see the EVGA hybrid cards come out, because I've got a hybrid 980 Ti. Oh, we just went into the 50s, 58. I've got a hybrid 980 Ti. I would say my 980 Ti stays anywhere from 48 to 52 degrees. So I would expect this to be 52, maybe up to 55, since it seems to have a little trouble with heat. But still, it's going to be like 14 degrees lower than what you see here, which is already 11 degrees lower. No, 12 degrees lower than 81. I'm trying to do math, run around the game, talk to you, and look at the screen all at the same time. Overall, though, this is pretty good. All right, it's still going down to 58, still going down to 59, but most of the time it's staying pretty decently up there. Now, the longer I play, the hotter the GPU will get. I think it will eventually settle at 72, at which point, once this gets up to 71, 72, see how top line up there, the 2025, 2012, how it's flickering between there? It will start flickering between 2000 period, 2000, and 2012, right? With this overclock, I can get the game to just this having the fan here. I'm not even going to call it a fan curve because this card gets so hot that the fan's just going the whole time anyway. So with the fans, ooh, it just stuttered. With the fan at this speed, with the fan at this speed, with the memory at this speed, with the core clock set for this speed, I can mostly keep it in the 60s, all right, for the frame rate. Now, yeah, it will go up to the 80s like you're seeing, but there will be times where it goes down. Let me show you another trouble spot. Is this current? No, that's not. Here it is. We go here. Current station. Fast travel. All right, so you go to current station, and for some reason, right outside of it, this is another huge trouble spot for frame rate. All right, playing in 1080p with an overclocked 980 Ti, which my water-cooled 980 Ti can get down. I mean, not get down to, but the clock on it is like 1492 stable. You know, like sometimes it goes up to 1499, just under 1500 stable. This area over here in 1080p would go down into the 30s when the game was maxed out. Now with my current settings, which I'm about to show you, this area over here can go into the 50s. See, the GPU is up to 70 degrees now. 69, 70, I told you, it can get up to like 71, 72. For some reason, this is only going down to like 58 for the frame rate. I have personally watched this go down to like 48, 52. And again, probably when the GPU is hotter is when that's going to happen. 56 frames per second. Normally this spot right here is pretty hard on frame rate. Alright, so let me show you the settings and then we'll be just about done. So this is why I have not posted videos yet for my 1070. Because I try to be legit with you guys. Alright, I try to show you like, hey, this is how games perform. This is what you can really expect in real life. Alright, 2560 by 1440, 144 hertz, full screen, graphics. I do have VSync on auto. Normally for benchmarking, I would have VSync off. The thing is I'm trying to show what people can really expect, and I think it's unfair of me to show a video with VSync off, and let's say it performs better, and someone goes and buys the graphics card, and then they use VSync and it performs badly. Do you see what I mean? The purpose of my channel is not to show you the world's highest frame rates. The purpose of my channel is to show a person who is going to spend their hard-earned money on this hardware how that hardware will perform. Okay? That's why I do this. Now, once I get this thing under control, even if I put a water block on it, which by the way, I am building a water cooling system. I have the parts coming this week to put it together. I'm going to probably water cool this card. And for sake of argument, if it starts performing consistently once it's water cooled, then I'll go into the games and I'll do the whole VSync on and off and all that deal. Alright, sorry that I stopped here, but I want to make this very clear. The purpose of my videos is to show you guys how things really perform, because I think the community needs that. Alright, frame rate limit off, shadow quality high. This is bugging me because even with my 980 Ti's I've had to put this on high. If you watch my best settings videos for 980 Ti's though, I've been able to use Nvidia PCSS. Now I need to go back and watch those videos, and so I can see exactly how they performed back then. Then I need to look at the date of those videos, and then I need to install the drivers from when I recorded those videos, because for some reason none of my cards will play 1440p Nvidia PCSS. None of them will do that and keep 60 frames per second now. Not overclocked, not with fans on max, they won't do it. My 980 Ti's used to do it. Okay? So I don't know if the game got a patch that screwed it up, which this would not be the first time this happened. In Far Cry 4, in January of 2015, Nvidia Soft Shadows worked just fine on a GTX 970, and I could get 60 frames per second. There's people walking through here. And I could get 60 frames per second with a 970 in Far Cry 4, okay? Using Nvidia Soft Shadows. But when the patch came out for some kind of DLC for the game, all of a sudden, Soft Shadows never worked again. Ever. Keeping 60 frames per second with a GTX 970 in 1080p. Not for me anyway. Where they used to always work. So, either a patch killed this or the driver killed it. But the shadow quality I used to have on PCSS, and the game looks better for it, alright? Nvidia's PCSS shadows in this game and in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the PCSS looks good. Alright, I apologize for holding this up, making the video take so long. So here we go. Shadow quality high, shadow resolution high, spot shadow count high, spot shadow resolution all. Wait a minute, ultra, contact shadow all high. Post effects AA is on medium. Super sampling, resolution scale 100%, sharpen 100%, particle ultra. Enable wind affected snow, no. Volumetric fog medium. Reflection quality medium, local reflection quality high, subsurface scattering no, anisotropic filtering 16, parallax mapping high, ambient occlusion medium, depth of field medium, object detail 88%, chromatic aberration yes, neutral lighting no, lens flare yes, vignette effect yes. So that's the settings. So to repeat myself one last time, I have refrained from posting 1070 content because I cannot get the game, any game, to perform consistently with the 1070. Now, for what it's worth, at all times, no matter what, the 1070 is about as good as a 980 Ti. Okay? It's always going to be either just a little worse than a 980 Ti or a little better. Okay? Which is a pretty big window. Like, it could play this game anywhere from 54 FPS all the way up to like 68 FPS reliably. But that's a 14 FPS swing, right? A 980 Ti overclocked, I've got a classified and a hybrid, a 980 Ti overclocked with these settings can play this game in 1440p pretty much in the 60 FPS neighborhood. Sometimes it goes lower, sometimes it goes higher, but pretty much 60 FPS all day at 1440p. See how this is going up to like 72 or whatever? The 980 Ti will also go up sometimes. So for most intents and purposes, a 970 frame rate wise performs about as well as a 980 Ti. So what I'm probably going to do is start recording videos saying, hey, here's the 1070 playing the game. And then I'm going to literally have to put a note in the description saying I'm using a founder's card, and depending on the ambient temperature in this room and depending on the mood of the card, sometimes there can be about a 10 frame per second better or worse situation. Do you see what I mean? All right. So that's where we're at, guys. Hopefully this video has been very informative for you. I always try to be very honest with you. I try to show you everything. My buddy, I got a buddy who's he's not a big YouTuber, but he's actually pretty big in the gaming scene. He is on YouTube. He's pretty well known on the gaming scene. And I told him, you know, I try to show you guys everything. And he warned me, he said, you know, maybe you don't want to show people how the sausage is made, meaning maybe you don't want to tell everybody like all the little details. Because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of YouTubers will just tell you, like, they'll just show you a slide and tell you to take their word for it. They'll say, okay, well, this is how the card did, right? Like, they'll say, here's a benchmark. The game got this average frame rate. Just take my word for it. I don't do that to you. I show you how the game plays. I go to different sections of the game. I show you different overclocks, different fan speeds. I try to take care of you. So again, I hope this video has been very helpful for you, very informative. If so, please tell your friends. Please share the fact that my channel exists, because honestly, I do think that I do things on this channel that other YouTubers are not doing. I think I serve the community. I spent 20 to 30 hours testing this before I made a single video, right? Like, I'm not trying to just jump out there and make YouTube money or get a bunch of views or do anything really selfish. I'm trying to 54 frames per second and it stuttered. I'm trying to 52, 53. That's what I was expecting. 54. See, we're in front of Kern Station again. Anyway, I try to really show you guys how the games perform, how the hardware performs. And you've seen the whole time my CPU, that's not really getting cooked. It's about a 4.5 overclock on that CPU. It's got a good tower cooler on it. The case gets a ton of air. It's NZ XT Phantom 410 mid-tower case. It looks like Swiss cheese. It has holes all over it. I have two Noctua fans on the front for intake. I've got one Noctua fan on top, plus another fan that came with the case, another NZXT fan. So the thing's got plenty of airflow. If you put your hand in the case, it feels ice cold. I've taken the door off before I put my hand in there. And if you've paid attention to the numbers other YouTubers are getting, these are actually decent temperatures that I'm showing you. Okay? So I feel pretty confident in what I'm putting up. And forgive me for talking so long. It's just, you got to understand, I put in almost 30 hours of work on this. So I got a lot on my chest, right? There's a lot I want to get off my chest. So there it is. Please tell your friends this channel exists. I'm not the end-all be-all, okay? Other people, you need to watch their videos too. You need to listen to them too, all right? Maybe the ambient temperature is different where they live, okay? They live in a different state, a different country. Maybe they have a different motherboard. Maybe they have a different case. Maybe They just have a GPU that performs so much better out of the box. I don't know. Like other people matter too. Other videos matter too. It's not all about me. So, but with that said, tell your friends that I'm out here, all right? This channel, I feel like it deserves to exist, and your word of mouth is going to help spread that love. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been AI Gaming 1776, and there is a ton of 1070 content that is coming. There will be a ton of 1080 content coming. Plus, I have an FX 6300 build that I'm putting together. So I literally have the best gaming CPU, overclocked 6700K. I'm going to have that versus one of the worst gaming CPUs, or at least one of the cheapest, lowest performing gaming CPUs, the FX 6300, a very old, very cheap CPU. But I'm going to try to be able to show you guys how these graphics cards perform and how much the CPU really matters and things like that, all right? And then I got water cooling coming in from EK Water Blocks. I'm actually going to water cool this CPU with a 360 millimeter radiator, like I'm not going to play around. And I'm still going to have air-cooled systems, all right? This is my Skylake system. If you guys have watched my channel for a long time, you know I have a Haswell system, my Haswell i7 4790. I also have a 4690K coming in the mail. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have FX 6300, 4690K, 4790, 6700K water cooled. I'm going to have those four systems, all right? i5, i7, 6300 all on air, and then a water cooled 6700K. And the reason that's going to happen is that's my best case scenario PC. I am putting together a badass water cooled Skylake best case scenario. And then I'm going to have my i7 and i5 in the middle, and then I'm going to have my AMD worst case scenario. And here's the thing, guys. I know big YouTubers have talked about doing this lately, but guess what? I was talking about it first. That's going to be in another video. I opened my big mouth and I told some YouTubers what I was doing building all these computers the last few months and all the testing that I've been doing. Guys, I do hundreds of hours of testing before videos get put up. All right? This video is almost 30 hours of testing just for this video, and a lot of other videos, 10, 20, 30, 40 hours of testing, right? I opened my big mouth and I told some other YouTubers what I'd found with my testing, and I told them what I needed to do some more testing and the systems I would need to build to do it. And now other YouTubers are going around putting together similar systems before me and getting videos up before me. So unfortunately, and the saddest thing I've learned in this community is if I have an idea, I need to shut up and keep it to myself, because people take each other's ideas around here all the time. There are some videos that you have seen that have 100,000 views on them or more, and it was someone else's idea that YouTuber took. All right, that is a thing that happens. So anyway, I'm going to be coming at it hard this year. I've spent probably $10,000 on this channel because I felt like all the YouTubers who were getting products for free, I felt like they weren't doing the right thing sometimes. So I spent my own money for the last year and a half buying all this stuff. If you guys have been watching my channels, you know I've got 1440p, 1080p 60 FPS, 1080p 144 FPS. I've got FreeSync. I've had G-Sync. I've got two 980 Ti's, water-cooled and air-cooled, 970, two 960s, 2 gig and 4 gig. Why would I do that? I spent all this money because there were YouTubers when the 2 gig 960 came out. Those YouTubers were telling you that 2 gigs was plenty. And they were wrong, and I knew they were wrong. So I bought a 2 gig 960 and a 4 gig 960 myself to prove it. And I had to spend almost $500 of my own money to do that. All right? And that's what I'm willing to do for this community. And look, YouTube doesn't like me to talk about how much money they pay me, but they don't pay me enough money to do this. I'm losing money doing this, but I'm doing it for the community. So I'm a little bit butthurt that my ideas have been showing up in other people's videos. I have stopped telling people my ideas before I make my own videos. I've learned my lesson. And this year I'm probably going to be hitting things pretty hard. So if you could support the channel, like the videos, subscribe, have your friends like and subscribe. I really need the help, guys. I really do, because I think this channel deserves to grow. I think the information I'm trying to share with the community is good information. And I need your help for me to share it, alright? Thank you so much for watching. This has been AI Gaming 1776. Thank you so very much. Have yourselves an excellent day.